We continue on with our daily program that's a little bit of meditation, a little bit of Bible study, a little bit, hopefully, a little bit of inspiration for all of us each morning to just get reconnected to the bigger pictures of life. So, welcome and welcome to our first one of 2024. Today, what I titled it is 12 new chapters. And there's a beautiful line in the Bible which says, where Jesus says, behold, I make all things new. And that's something worthy of consideration as we enter a new year. Behold, I make all things new. That as we enter this year, all kinds of newness will be in front of us, before us, ahead of us. And one way to think of it is to think of your life is going to have 12 new chapters in it, and think of those as months, obviously. And with these chapters, friends, it's just interesting to think. And I remember hearing Donald Miller say this a long time ago. If we don't like the story we're in, just write a better story. And sometimes with writing those better stories, we can't necessarily change the characters, we can't change the events per se, but we sure can change the narrative. And that's what we really can do this year. We really have this opportunity with 12 new chapters to just keep coming back to, okay, what's the new narrative? What's the new narrative? What's the new narrative? What's the new narrative? I know for me, again, I've been thinking a lot about this beautiful idea of hope, peace, joy, and love. I mentioned this last week. Those are the themes of Advent. And thinking a lot about, okay, yeah, what does it look like? Not just to see those as like these gifts of Christmas. Wow, I get to feel hope, and I get to feel peace, and I get to feel joy, I get to feel love. But really trying to, and this is the hard part, right? Really trying to like buckle down and do the work of that. So what does it look like to bring hope? What does it look like to bring joy? What does it look like to bring peace? What does it look like to bring love? Especially to bring it in those situations where it's really challenging to do. Like how do we somehow manage to do that? So it's not just a gift that's coming to us, but this gift that's offered out through us. And I'm using that word "through" very deliberately, because these gifts ultimately are the Lord's, that we get to experience as our own. So friends, like think about that for this year. Like, what are the chapters? And the other part is, and this is also from Donald Miller. Again, he said, I think very appropriately, you don't like the story you're in, write a better story. I think that's very true. And again, don't think of that as the events of the story. We may not be able to change all the events. Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't. We can always are responsible for the narrative of it. And the second thing he said, I thought was really profound, and some of you no doubt have heard me say this before, which is no story is interesting until it has problems. So when you pick up the story of this year, like there are just going to be some embedded challenges in it, and that's just the way it is. It's not that it's 12 chapters where chapter 2 is better than chapter 1, and chapter 3 is better than chapter 2, and chapter 4 is better than chapter 3. It's not like it has that arc of it per se. It's these chapters that just have these things we wrestle with. I know at New Church Live here years ago, we came up with a formula for Sunday services, and it's how we've been writing them for 15 years, which is a real basic way, which is what's the welcome, what's the context, and this is the key part. What's the problem? What's the solution? Imagine life lived into that solution. What's the problem? What's the solution? Imagine life lived into that solution. That's sort of a sermon in a box right there. And each of those chapters will have those things. Each of the 12 chapters ahead of all of us will have some beautiful parts to it. Chapter 1 will have some, this January will have some beautiful parts. It will also have some challenges. It will have a problem. How do we go to the Lord? How do we go to God to find a solution, to find a way to see it differently? And inevitably, we'll need to have some imagination there. And that's why that imagine part, like imagine life lived into that. And again, that's where you can think of imagine life lived into more hope, peace, joy, and love. If you just want a real simple way to see it, and I think a very profound way to see it. So, friends, that's the thought as we launch into the year. We are all facing 12 new chapters, and there's a lot of excitement around that because life can go so many different directions, and we get to narrate these chapters. You and I both know that some of the events coming up will be incredibly, overwhelmingly beautiful, and you don't know they're coming up. They'll surprise you a lot of the time, and some are going to be heartbreakingly hard, and those are true as well. We don't know what those events will be. What we do know is that God is with us through it all, and that it's one chapter on top of another as we make up this story that's called our life. and keeping the intentions clear, remembering there's problems, but also remembering God always gives us like it's just, solutions, not always necessarily solutions, but a perspective, a narrative, a way of holding it that can bring a lot of grace and healing and continue to bring bigger and better and more meaningful, that's the key word, more meaningful stories into our lives. So that's the thought for today, friends. I hope that makes a lot of sense, and wishing you and yours a very happy new year as we get started here on 2024. And with that, dear friends, what we're going to do now is I have my prayer bell here today because I'm in my other office. We're going to listen to the prayer bell, get our minds all cleared. And then after we listen to the prayer bell, we're going to do a little meditation, a little prayer, a little blessing, and then get going with our day. So with that, dear friends, let's get a little breath. The meditation. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, dear friends, let's get a little cheery hello to folks here. Say hi to everyone who might have been able to join us this morning. Let's see if this will load for me. It might not cooperate. Oh, there we go. All right, just give it a second here, folks. My apologies. It seems like technology is not my friend today. So I will leave, folks. Sorry about that. We're not able to do live comments is our per usual way to do them. But I look forward to reading your comments, and I'll reply as soon as we're done here. So wishing you folks all the very best. God bless. Have a wonderful 2024. Take care.